Hey, this is Eric with Snow Family Racing. Let's build something and have some fun. Alright, today we're working on building a benchtop welding table because, I mean, let's face it, welding on a wood workbench, not exactly a great idea. Plus, it doesn't give me much room to clamp anything to. So, I'm using 1x2 square tube sourced locally from a place just up the road from me, Boman, Kemp. They sell bulk material. Unfortunately, they don't do the infamous 134 wall 1 3/4 tubing, but they've got pretty much everything else you could need that'll satisfy a large number of projects. As long as you're working on other stuff, they got you covered. So let me turn this around. I'll show you what I got and tell you where I'm going. I've got some interesting setup stuff here, so this is kind of fun. Okay, I started with this partway into the build because some of this stuff is a little slow. What I've got is my 4 foot wide by 2 foot long workbench, and I'm building kind of a benchtop welding table for it. The lengthwise pieces here, which is actually going to turn 90, those are 30 inches long. That runs the distance between my vise and my drill press and gives me a little bit of room on both sides, and I can take that off when I don't need it. So what I've done is I've got the 30-inch 1x2 square tubing. This is 14 gauge, and I've got the same 1x2 because it makes sense. These are cut at 24 inches, so it's the same width as my workbench. So I can set this thing here when I want to weld stuff together or have something, squared up and workable, and I can take it off when I don't need it. Although, let's be honest, I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to put it, but one disaster at a time. Let's get this thing built. Now, I'm a machinist by trade, so I've got a couple of 1, 2, 3 blocks, which are 1 inch by 2 inch by happen to be 3 inch. Now, I want these spaced at 1 inch apart, so I'm using 1, 2, 3 blocks. That was a junker that I had a forever back, but dimensionally, it's correct. It's got a blem in the middle of it, and it's just not going to work for a real machinist 1, 2, 3 block. So I welded this end in place. I also welded the furthest one on that end in place. I made everything squared up. I've got the edges square. I used this magnet and just squared everything up. I used that square, which is triangular, go figure, and I basically squared everything up, and I've got my hangout of 3 inches from here to here. That just works out great for my own sake because that gives me some room to clamp out here if I want to. I can clamp inboard. I got lots of clamping space. Now I'm spacing everything at 1 inch. So this guy, I'm just putting a big clamp around the individual sections, so that way it holds it nicely at 1 inch and it's square to the one before it. Now, of course, I'm going to check it every time just to make sure. So I'm going to keep sticking some stuff together. Now, something I have yet to address is I would like to have a removable section. So that way I can take some slats out. If I got something that's got a dip in it, I can, cover myself by taking some sections out and have a low spot. Haven't addressed that yet. I've got some angle iron over there, which may be the best option to run an angle piece vertically like that and then be able to put a pin, drill a hole. I haven't decided yet. So we'll go over all that as I get that far. Alright, so I finished up the welding on the welding table right here. As you can see over my shoulder a little bit there. I've got a couple of sections that are removable, and I've got half of it pretty well welded down. Let me turn the camera around. I'll show you what I did. Okay, so this is what we got. I've got this side all welded down, and these 4 slats are mounted on a piece of angle iron. Now that lets me do a couple of things. Let's say I need a gap in something, I can just spread them apart. And I've got a low spot, I can, put a nub of something awkward in there and I can weld. Or, let's say I need more space. I can take it clean out. So, just for everybody's sanity's sake, here's what it is. Just a piece of 2-inch angle iron. It's cool enough to touch. I've already checked. So it's just a piece of 2-inch angle. It goes over both sides of this. I clamped everything every which way I possibly could to get the truest kind of fit possible. And it's good, considering, it's just angle iron welded to square tube. And I can set everything up and have a nice, moderately uniform surface. Now, I'm not saying this is a, replacement for the Certiflat welding tables or any of the higher end ones. But considering what I've got into it, I think this will do great for what I want to do. I got a couple of projects in mind that I need something to clamp to, and being able to clamp to the square tube gives me that option. So, I think I'm into it. Oh, geez. 2 lengths of 1x2 square tube. This is 14 gauge, and I think it was like $20 a length. So I'm into this whole, benchtop welding table, $40-45 or so. And this is sourced locally from Boman, Kemp, just up the road. So I'm happy. Let's get this wrapped up and let's do some more welding.